And we're back.
We're back.
We are back with NYC's Latinx hot mess drag queen, Ari KiKi.
So happy
Hey, hey,
to have you
hey.
here.
How are you guys?
I'm first of all obsessed with you. Like coming.
Aw.
No, I am, and I'm not even bullshitting. Literally, I have asked people several times, like on Friday, so what y'all doing Friday? Y'all want to go to gym bar? Let's go down there so I can do some karaoke and have an excuse to see Ari KiKi. And I'm so happy that you're here and that I was able to like get you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm like Darrell said in the green room. We see you every Friday, and it's always like, oh, we just a big old mess. So it's good to see you
in human form.
Not
in human form is correct. And Fridays is my longest day. So I have a day job. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
And then I have to navigate on Fridays being up until 1 a.m. at the bar.
Wow. So so when you're there, I mean, obviously we're gonna get into all this, but when you're there, usually after the karaoke and stuff, do you go home or do you go to another spot or do you how do you deal?
I usually stay there, depending on the situation. I usually just hang out at the bar for another hour or so, or if I'm like exhausted, I make the trek back to Jersey.
Nice.
Anywhere, if I'm a social drinker.
Yes.
So my social drinking day is Friday. So if it's been a week, I need to like decompress and decompose at the bar afterwards as well.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. Like when I'm there, like we'll come downstairs, and usually when they close downstairs, they're like, "Oh, everybody can go upstairs," and then I'm upstairs stumbling around that bar, and then I go over to Rebar, which I got to stay out of Rebar. I feel like
I need to make my way over. It's been a while. I know a couple of people who work the Friday party, and I want to go by and say hi, but I'm usually like tired. I'm not. My social battery is very low at that point of the night.
Right. I completely get that. I get it. Yep.
So let's take it back just a little bit. So Ari, where did you, like you said, you live in Jersey? Is that where you're from originally? Or?
Absolutely not. Absolutely, okay. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised.
Oh, okay, work.
Jersey was a transition that happened in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And my day job is now based in Jersey, so it just makes also tax wise it's cheaper. Living wise, it's cheaper. I don't have a car, but I do have a license, so that's a work in progress.
Yeah. Luckily, we live in.
Yeah, in New York, you don't need any of that. I'm like train, bus, but Jersey's a different monster.
Absolutely. I mean, we were born, so we're both from Texas. Actually, the entire podcast minus one is from Texas. And we all, I know, and Adam and I, we went to college together. And Adam Braden and I, who's our other co-host, we went to college together, and we moved here in 2010, where Ashley joined us. And she's been here ever since. And it's so interesting because we all have driver's license as well. And so anytime people ask us, they're like, can you drive? And it's like, we always end up sometimes more Adam than any of us driving for our New York friends that don't have a driver's license.
Right.
Like, you always end up doing it. Yeah.
It's not a part of life.
No, it's true. It is true. So you talked about the pandemic and kind of getting into that. Obviously, we know that was a really tough time for the world, and I think still is. I do still feel like we're feeling the effects of the pandemic. I mean, there's so many jobs now with these massive layoffs, and there's so many things going on. So what made you say like, okay, I need to take this moment after being New York born and raised to leave the city? I know the pandemic, but what really pushed you?
So being quite frank, I lived in for the most part of my adult years, I've been bouncing from living situation to living situation. When my parents retired, I moved into an apartment in Queens. Everything was cute. Then I moved into the city, and my first Manhattan apartment, I didn't realize had bed bugs, and I'm not allergic to the bed bug bites. I found out, so I didn't know I had them until late into like 6 months into the living building. And the building's response was to give me a bottle of Raid to navigate that. Come to find out, the management company was one of the top 5 worst management companies in New York. So I had to break my lease, and I bounced around the heights for a little bit in living situation with friends and stuff like that. And 5 years before the pandemic, I ended up with this old Dominican lady off on Dykeman. Super sweet. Me and her got along fine. The only issue was like I couldn't use the kitchen, and I get it as a Latino. The Spanish women don't want people in their kitchen, so I got it. But during the pandemic, her son, who was in his, I want to say late 40s, early 50s, lost his job. She was old, like she was 70s, 80s. Me and her were cool. But during the pandemic, he lost his job and he ended up moving in with us. And he, I guess, was homophobic or wanted me out of the house. So he started being very verbally aggressive with me whenever she wasn't around. Wow. And she was one of those typical Dominican ladies who like disappear for months at a time to go back to DR. Okay. So there was a period of time during the pandemic where like it was just me and him in the house. And it wasn't cute. And so it didn't get physical, but it definitely got very like I didn't feel safe.
Sure.
Right, of course.
And so I was just like, my brother, who is also my boss at my day job, his living situation was up in the air. So he's like, hey, if you want, move into my place. And you're already working in Jersey, like, and then so that's what ended up happening. I moved into his place for a while. And that was about 2 years into the pandemic. Well, like 6 months into the pandemic. And then I was there for 2 years, and now I'm in this other place in Jersey with some friends.
Okay. Well, I mean, listen, safety is very important. And we talk about that a lot here on this podcast about, being in unsafe situations. And I do feel like the world got unsafe at a very specific time for the LGBTQIA community. And, being in a place, especially a living place, you don't want to go into the world and be uncomfortable and then come home and be uncomfortable, even though we were kind of already resigned to the house. So I commend you for knowing that you needed to get out of that situation, because who knows what could have happened. I mean, honestly, him too, because honestly, you could probably defend it yourself, depending,
right. And that wasn't that. Yeah, I mean, I'm Puerto Rican Cuban, like the crazy's in the blood, but like I'm not trying to channel that. And at the end of the day, it wasn't my space; it's someone else's space. I respected her. It was him that was like, and she apologized to me as I was moving out, and I'm like, listen, like, it's not your fault. It's the situation is, and it's he's blood. I get it. Like, no harm, no foul.
That's just wild. Now, how? What I'm tripping on is the managing company was like, "Here's a bottle of Raid. Take care of it. Handle it."
That was like a good 10 years ago, but that's also New York. New York is fucked up in so many ways. Manhattan specifically, because they know they can charge an arm and a leg for an apartment, and not really. You're just happy to be in Manhattan, So
yeah. I agree. I mean, we got so lucky. When we moved here in 2010, we've been in the same apartment ever since we moved here. And, Adam and I have been living together since 2006. Oof. And then, wow, when you talk about the years. And then Ashley, has been here since 2010. And so it's just like, it's just worked. And that's why I'm like, listen, even if we decide to like not live together, we need to keep this apartment, because it's a really good situation, even with all the, shit, because you do get shit from your management companies, even the better ones. And it's still such a good situation to have.
Good for you guys.
When was Ari born? Was she born out of the pandemic, or was she was before?
I've been doing drag for 14 years.
Okay, word.
Yeah, as long as I've been here.
Yeah. I want to say 2013. No, that's not right. It's somewhere on paper. Maybe it's 2010.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah, the math is mathing now.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
In one of my living situations, I was a roommate with one of my friends from college. This is after we got out of college. She was queer identified. I was gay identified. And she got into doing nonprofit work. She looped me into that. We both were doing nonprofit work at the New York Anti-Violence Project, which, if I'm not mistaken, is still based on 35th Street between 7th and 8th. And so we both did nonprofit work with that organization. And one of the main things we were part of was their hotline, as well as prepping for Pride. We had to like make little condom packets and information packets to give out during Pride. And so the coordinator of the Pride group, her name was Jennifer at the time. At the time when we were there, the coordinator's name was Jennifer. And I was like trying to find an outlet for myself, because I had just gotten out of a relationship. That's why I ended up moving in with this friend at that time.
Okay.
And it was a relationship where I was in and out of the relationship for 5 years, and it was exhausting. And so I mentioned to the coordinator, I'm like, hey, would you be cool if I kind of like did drag to like kill time,
Right.
like towards the end of the day, like if I did a number to kind of like bring everyone's energy up. And she was gun ho for it, and so that's where Ari KiKi was born. Through the hotline, one of the trainings was getting to know like different communities, and so in learning to be more versed in different communities, I learned about the word Kiki, and the way I was introduced to it was that I mean it was either to gossip, to joke around, or not take yourself seriously. Something to that effect, and I liked all of that, so I like latched on to Kiki. And then my legal name is Marty, which is pretty short as it is. But I liked the idea of being gender non-conforming with my drag when I first started, and now after the pandemic. So I leaned towards the name Ari because I saw it in some queer movie 15 years ago that I saw through Netflix when I used to get the DVDs in the mail.
Oh my God! Remember that
throwback? Yeah.
Yeah, because you would look online and you're like, what's in the queer section? I would like watch everything that they had in the queer section. And so there was this Greek film that had a gay character named Ari. And I'm like, that sounds like my real name. It's short. It could be male or female presenting. And they kept the full drag name short also, Ari KiKi, which is very easy to say when you're drunk.
Yes, it is. I can confirm. I can confirm.
So that's where the character was born. And drag stage wise, the first stage that I performed in as Ari KiKi was at was it no oh wow what's this bar? It's no longer around.
I'm gonna say therapy.
Nope. 10th Avenue. 10th Avenue in Hell's Kitchen. Shaquita used to host this
Rawhide?
No. Bartini.
Bartini?
Okay. Yes. I don't know if I ever patroned there.
Yeah.
Bartini was the bar, if I'm not mistaken. That was on 10th Avenue, about a block or two down from where Hardware is now.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so Shaquita used to host Star Search was it called? Or Star Drag Wars, which is now she does up pieces. So Shaquita was the host there, and I performed S&M by Rihanna. And I believe the first night that I competed, Jiggly Caliente was one of the contenders because she hadn't been on Drag Race yet.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And I believe that same night, Detox from Drag Race happened to be in New York and also had not been on Drag Race yet. And she also competed. There's photos somewhere on Facebook. I can pull them out. But it's just interesting. And me and Brenda Darling started around the same year. So Brenda's someone I'm very dear and close to. Well, not super close to, but someone I was very close to because like I love her. She's amazing. There's a bunch of drag queens that are amazing and like great to know outside of drag, but that's neither here nor there. But
go ahead, Adam.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, so why drag? Like, what pulled you to this performance art? Like, explain that.
So when I first was coming out, I dabbled in drag. I used to work at Toys R Us in Times Square, and for Halloween.
Oh Lord, I remember that.
I ran the Barbie house. That was my shit. Like I had it.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm the one gay person that wants to work in the Barbie house. I have no problems being that person.
Right. I will be there all day.
And they were like, well, we don't really have that many male presenting people who would work there. So they're like, perfect. They threw me in there. And so I was there for 5 years running the Barbie house for the most part. And so I would dress up for Halloween not while on the clock, but I would come in I would clock out, get in drag downstairs in the locker rooms, and walk around the store for a little bit and go out with my friends from the store. But when I mentioned that relationship that I was in, during that off and on period, he wasn't a fan of drag. He denies that now. but then it was a different situation. But so I wasn't able to do drag when we were together. So
Okay.
that kind of like Phoenix from the ashes feeling came about right after the breakup.
Right. It was like, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Here I am. This is me.
Right. So I had dabbled in drag before Drag Race, but then Ari KiKi was born like season 3.
Okay. And did you ever want to compete? Like, did you ever want to make like a video or anything?
I've done the video once.
Okay.
I've done all the paperwork a couple of times, but I chicken out. I've seen people get very successful on there, and I've seen people get really questionable edits.
Right, right.
And I think my mental sanity would be okay with whatever the edit would be, but I say that not being in that experience.
Right.
Right.
Because they can make you look like a villain, a bitch, you know, just anything.
Well, then you also have to worry about the jealousy of other people in our own community, because I feel like when you get a certain level of fame, especially being someone who's gay, people start to bring up things. They're like, well, this person partied a lot, or this person did this, or this person.
Well, the camera's always on you at that point. So
right. And so it becomes something. I mean, listen, I really also think you have a really very specific, wonderful way of drag. You know, you do it with your beard still. And what made you come to the decision to, you know, present in that way with bearded drag? Because I think that that's so beautiful. And I think a lot of people don't see that because they think that you must have the complete female illusion, like with everything shaved, and then go from there. And I see you don't do that. So what made you come to that decision?
So as I mentioned, I started 13, 14 years ago. And the character was supposed to be gender non-conforming at the beginning. And it was for the first couple of weeks, months, I would say. I kept the beard. And then little by little, I started tweaking the character. And for the good first 10 years of Ari KiKi, there was no beard. And I had a lopsided lip. I was known for having a lopsided lip. It was very Joker-esque inspired.
Yeah.
And that was my signature lip for 10 years. And then the pandemic happened, and I'm like, well, I'm not performing, so why should I shave? So the beard came about, and I would do stuff on social media. I would do a weekly makeup get together with somebody, and we would both get in drag, and we would both like have a conversation on Instagram. And the beard started developing, and I would come to ask all the venues that I work at, which is pretty much a store more than gym bar. Hey, when we came back to opening up the doors, I'm like, hey, the beard's here. I really don't want to shave it. It's helping the sex life, and so
right.
Bury that.
I mean, listen. I gave her 10 years of my life with no facial hair. So I'm in my early 40s. I want to enjoy myself a little bit more. So all the venues were okay with me not shaving it. And I'm thankful for that. So my manager every once in a while was like, "Girl, just shave it." And I'm like, "Well, you said yes, so you fucked up by saying yes the first time." So
right. Yeah.
Ain't no going back now, baby. And I love it because I don't, and I'm sure there are, but I think you're one of the only bearded queens that I know of in nightlife. I don't go out a whole lot, but
there's a few. One of the main ones in New York that was doing it early on was Keisha Carr.
That's yes.
She goes by Bearded Queen on Instagram. And then as of late, I want to say since the pandemic, there's been a bigger splurge of like bearded queens in the scene.
Yeah.
There was Harriola Grande, who was I think in London now, but she used to be a New York queen. There's Temple Grande, Harriet Tugsman.
Oh yes, I love Harriet. I went to her show. My friend Christy was here for her bachelorette party. We went to Harriet's show. She was so great. She was so funny.
I mean, I would say if you go to Rock Bar, half of the time you're gonna find a bearded queen. So
that's true. We used to be at Rock Bar quite a bit.
I sure was.
Funny story. So I have to say this. Adam's gonna kill me, but I have to say it. So we had a show called Pride the Series, and Adam played a drag queen on their place, Shanita Buffet. And I'm gonna have to send you some pictures. He thought of it and I patented it. So that part I did. So when we first came to Gym Bar the first time, it was me, Ashley, I think our friend Corey, Braden, and Adam hadn't gotten there yet. And we look over at the booth and we see you, and we thought it was Adam. And we were like, Adam? What?
I can see it.
And so I walk up and I said, Adam, and you were like, huh? And I was like, oh my God, never mind. And so the real Adam came, and Adam was like, yeah, no. He said, I've thought that for years. We put a side by side of Adam and drag the other day.
I totally see it.
It was spot on. It was perfection.
And then also we have a friend that used to live here, now he's gone, but sent me a DM and was like, girl, somebody's using your pictures on Grindr. And I was like, one, not me. Two, I get that a lot. And three, I ain't on no app, so I don't know what's
was
going
it me?
On. Yes, it was you.
It was you. It was you. It was so great. And I told Adam, I said, Adam, if you ever get in drag again, you have to do some kind of like performance with Ari KiKi because it would be great.
Oh, down, absolutely.
Tween.
I would love it. So all right. So how has your family been? You spoke about your heritage and everything. How is your family supportive of you doing drag, and how do they feel about it?
So, fun story. My father and I never talked about any of this. I never came out to my father. He's old school Cuban man. He was 20 years older than my mother. So he passed away right during the pandemic, but not because of the pandemic. He passed away. We didn't expect it to happen. Like shit, really. I think he was hiding some stuff from us, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So me and my father never had this conversation. I always, whenever I was in Puerto Rico, like my nail polish was taken off. I never gave the impression that I was straight, but I never like threw my gayness in his face. I tried to be as respectful to him on that end. And trying to like not save, but like navigate that relationship, that limited relationship that we had. So that it'd be as positive for both of us.
Right.
So that was the case for my dad. My mom and my drag is a bittersweet story. Nothing negative. She just wishes I was prettier in drag. When I had the lopsided lip, she's like, "Can you not do that?" And I'm like, "What? It's my trademark." And now that I don't do it, she's like, "Well, can you shave the beard?" I'm like, "Well, no, we're not doing that either." So,
so she's like, "It's all right, but like, if you're gonna do it, can you do it?"
She's very much like of the old gender norms. So like, she's trying to push that on. I'm like, "Ma, please, like, I'm still getting paid. Back up."
I know that's right. The money, the check is still clearing. I mean, that's something that a lot of people, there is a new acceptance of drag, and we're seeing trans drag performers now. We're seeing cisgender female drag performers. We're seeing drag kings. We're seeing all of that now.
Real quick, trans drag performers have been around forever.
Forever, they have.
They're just more open about it now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like people are becoming more accepting of it. And I think that the old rule of you must just show female persuasion, and if you're a man, like, you must shave everything and commit to it, I think that's gone out the window. I'll admit, when I first came here, and I remember I saw my first bearded queen, or was it hairy chest queen? It was something of that nature, and I was like, oh, well, that's different. I don't know if I like that. I don't know how to feel about it, because it was something to get used to. Now I do like it. I'm like, it's all about making those changes, and creating art, to be honest with you.
Very much that. And also, I think we as human beings are so used to boxes and labels. Yep. And so by default, we question when it's not what we're used to. Yeah. But drag is all about pushing boundaries. It's all about art. And at the end of the day, if you're not entertaining, you're not entertaining no matter what you present.
Exactly. So. No matter how good you look. That is true. Because we
can be
all
the prettiest bitch on the block and be boring as bricks. So
right. If you can't run a mic, then I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's more of a New York thing. A New York queens, you have to be able to run a mic. So
yeah.
Like, what did Jasmine Master say on her season? She's like, well, if you ain't here to perform and do something, then I guess you just walking around the club like a pretty girl or something. But we're here to entertain and to perform.
Yeah, exactly. You have to control a room, because a lot of times in New York bars, there's first of all, they're so small. Easy. They're small, and then nobody's really like, there are a group of people paying attention to a drag show, but a good drag queen has to be able to say, "Hey, everybody pay attention because you got people at the bar trying to order a drink. You got people in the bathroom trying to do drugs and hook up. You got people upstairs. I mean, you got your people.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they're trying to control the room. So I give props to you because I see a very control. I personally love going downstairs at Gym Bar. Like, I'm like, I feel, number one, safe. I feel that it's going to be a good time, and it's always just fun.
And it's more space.
It's more space.
Maybe it's not, but it feels like it is.
It feels like it. The thing is, I'm very lucky for Gym Bar. They've been very welcoming. I'm the only drag queen that works there, with the exception of Misty Mountain when she covers for me. And they treat me like a queen. I like, no shit, no pun intended, but they treat me really well there. I love working there. The only other bar I work at really is Stonewall, and I've been there. Well, I just celebrated my 10th year there working at the bar, so it's
I love that. We do we work with Anthony Fett at Stonewall. He does a Monday show. It's like
the name sounds real familiar.
Yeah. He works with Maria, who also works at the bar there. Vinny, so they do a Monday show. It's like the last Monday of the month where everyone can come in and do like kind of like a variety show, to be honest. It's, everyone's singing. They've definitely expanded it to drag queens coming in. I've done some poetry readings. I did a performance of Jada Pinkett from Scream 2. So like, it's definitely like, during Halloween. Yeah, it was great. I put on the whole costume and I hit that stage and screamed. It was great. But I think that it's definitely evolving. So I love that we're able to see that now.
Who is your favorite musicians to like perform numbers from?
Currently I love doing Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa to me has become the new Rihanna. Like, I don't know who I say that only because whoever her producers are smart.
100%.
Vocally and lyrically, she's not that amazing, and neither was Rihanna. No shade, but
correct. You're right.
Alti.
But producer wise, she has really great producers. Her music is boppy and dancey, and I feel like we're missing that on that. Unlike someone who does it like constantly, like Rihanna was at one point. Dua Lipa's I'm gonna do a lot lately. I love me a little Mariah, a little J-Lo, some Pink, Madonna. I like throwbacks, so like anything from high school that I still remember is easy to shit out. So I love doing that type of stuff. Listen, I tell this to every drag queen that's starting out. If you're not sure what to start with, do something from high school. You have that shit memorized.
Right.
Give me some Hillary Duff. I'm not gonna do great, but
I love Hillary Duff. Like, honestly, Hillary Duff.
Whenever I come out and I should that at karaoke, people lose their minds. Like,
well, yeah,
you have to.
Instantly.
I love. Listen, Hillary Duff is great, and people don't give. I was thinking about the big three, and when I think about the big three in terms of that, and I'm not talking about the people from that NBC show that they had. What was it with Mandy Moore and
what is that?
The show that used to be on. It was Mandy Moore's recent. What was it called?
This Is Us.
This Is Us. Yes, This Is Us.
I'm
they call the characters on there. Okay, they call the characters the big three. Is what they call them. Like, So I used to think about that, and it's like I think of Raven, I think of Hillary Duff, and I think of Christy Carlson Romano when I think of who ran Disney and kept the lights on. And then you had Miley and Demi, and them came after that, and it's just like there's not enough love that goes to Hillary Duff, and she's pregnant again, and we want to give you some love, Hillary Duff.
Is she pregnant again? I didn't know that.
She is pregnant again.
Wow, good for her, because she's stayed out of bullshit. She stayed in her lane. Like, she knows what she just had like a show recently with Sutton Foster.
She just did. She did that. How I Met Your Father. And before that, she was doing Younger, which was really good.
Yes,
that was it.
I got hooked into Younger for a while, and then it recently fizzled out. It had Sutton Foster in that.
That's the one.
Yeah, so that was really good. No correlation to the conversation, but
no, she actually was gonna be coming back and do Lizzie McGuire, but
I really wanted that to happen. She was really pushing it to be like an adult show.
Yeah, she was just like, I want Lizzie like to be talking about sex. She lives in New York City. She's single. She said, I want that. And they were just like, but it's Disney. I think that conversation can be brought back up though.
I agree.
Now that
they're open to right.
They're open to more, and also like to keep it a buck. It's streaming, and it's a very different. And we grew up with Lizzie, so we're adults too. So like, let's watch her be adults like we're adults.
Yeah, because think about it.
Raven's in her own with her own Raven House thing for the little kids. That's fine. But Lizzie wants to do adult shit. Let Lizzie do some adult shit.
Yeah,
right. Because on Lizzie McGuire, they talked about issues that were happening to us at that time.
Yeah.
So it would only make sense to keep it going.
Yeah. And it's a different show. It's not a show to have a laugh track or anything like that. But again, here we go. We done gave Hillary some of our podcast time. Listen, this is how much we love Hillary. We can talk about Hillary all day. Now, listen, before we let you go, there is 2 questions we want to ask you. And
by all means,
I'm going to ask the first one, and Adam, you can ask the second one. The first one, if you could cast anyone as yourself in a movie about your life, who would it be?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Hey,
let me think about that. Give me the second question while I'm on the.
Oh, the second question is not going to be no easier.
Oh, fuck! Okay.
Well, we have like another one too, but I just want to ask this one real quick. What in your opinion, what is the worst drag trend right now? Like, what needs to go?
Worst drag trend? Trend. That's about. Let me lean on that then. Attitude. Just attitude.
All right, that's a good answer.
I've never been a fan of drag attitude. Like, I think it's when you're snarky and you're funny, it's fine. Like, you can catch me in a bad moment on a Friday because, like I said, it's my longest day. But I'm very upfront with that. I'm like, listen, I've been up since 5 a.m. I'm here till 1. If you catch me, if I'm out of pocket, just call me out. But people who are just nasty to be nasty, I've never found that attractive. People come to bars to like de-stress and have a good time, and any drag performer or any performer in general who's just nasty to people, I don't see a place. This isn't the place for you, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
Back to the first question. I'm trying to think of like young actors. Ideally plus size.
Oh, what about Harvey Guillen?
Harvey Guillen?
Yeah,
he's not bad.
Yeah, that's cute.
And he's family.
Yep.
And he would do it justice.
I love him on what happened, what we do behind the shadows, or whatever that was called.
Yes, so good. He's really.
He was
really
in
good.
something else recently. I can't remember what I recently saw him in. That he was like a little bit more flamey, but I know his character's coming out more in the show also.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's called for that. He's just like, I really want to do more representation because he actually went to school with a friend of ours, Lindsay, at AMDA, and he left early because his career took off, and he was like, I don't need to continue school. I don't need to continue getting this. So I love that a lot more queer people are standing up in this space when they are performing to say like, hey, I want to showcase that a little bit more, because a lot of times in Hollywood and in the performance space, they're like, tone it down. And we all know what that means when people say, reel it in, tone it down, you're being extra. We all as gay people know what that means, and we know what they're trying to say. So I love that he's really advocating for like, no, let's be extra, let's turn it up, and like, let's give you our true authentic selves, because there are people out there who are too extra, are too much for some people, and those people exist and they deserve to exist as well.
Exactly.
You want that last question, don't you?
No, go ahead.
You want me to do it? All right. So here at Pride the Podcast, we always ask this question, and we end on this question. What does pride mean to you?
Celebration, love, unity, just getting together with people you care about in the scene, in your chosen family. Like for me, pride is such a handful, because as a drag performer, you want to make money and you want to be busy that day.
Right.
But on the other hand, you want to go and hang out with your friends on fucking Pride. So it's like, I'm always like torn between what to do. And lately I've been like, no, I'm not working on actual Pride. I'm going to try and like get my fun and do what I want to do. For me, as a New Yorker, I love whenever I'm able to go to Queen's Pride first.
We just talked about this.
I literally just told people the other day, I said, guys, y'all want a fun Pride? Y'all need to come. I went to Queen Prides for the past 2 years. It is immaculate. It's perfection.
You know what? What's weird about it? It's not a good pride. It's not a good pride whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But
And took
because
that away from me. He's like, it actually ain't good, but
but what it is, it's a condensed space, and so you're bound
yes,
to run into everybody and anyone that you
yeah,
know is in New York. So like, if you're there for maybe even 2 hours, I'm sure you'll run into 20 people you know
yes,
at
Mhm.
that's
any
true.
point in time. You'll run into 20 people you know, and that in itself in New York is so hard to come by.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I try and get there as early as possible and spend the whole day. I stop at the liquor store when I get off the train right away, buy myself a little bottle of something something, and then I stop at like a McDonald's and I get a cup of soda, and
Yep.
we just pour and pour all day long and just get shit faced on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go to this bar.
It's like NOLA.
My friend, right? My friend Lydia, she's very close with the owners of this bar called the Ready Penny, and it's in Queens. And we usually go there after, and it's like big. They're queer owners of this bar,
Okay, cool.
and they always like, which I didn't know at first. It's like a queer lesbian owners, and they're like, no, come here, and like. It turns out to be a nice space. There's pool table, there's
Is
music.
it is it a queer space or is it just queer owners?
It's queer owners with like queer. I mean, they have the flag up in there, but it's not like a. But
Is
usually
that
people go there to play like darts or pool. Like,
is it in that area of Jackson Heights or is it somewhere?
yeah,
Is it,
it's in
Yeah.
Jackson
okay.
Heights. Yeah, it's actually right
Okay,
there.
Jackson Heights.
So it's fun. So
Good to
this
know.
year, I'll let you know so
Mhm.
you can like slide up in there with me. It's pretty
I'm
fun.
I'm nervous because so Stonewall they like having Miss Stonewall happen that same weekend, and
Oh,
I usually coordinate that or I run it, and so like I haven't been able to go the past 2 years because I've been locked into it. I'm like I want to have fun in Queens, let me go. But I
yeah,
also do such a good job at running the pageant. So like they I'm like I'm gonna ask for more money again if I'm doing this shit.
absolutely,
Yep.
because it's cutting into the turnip time. It is.
Hello,
Listen,
hi.
I am so glad that we got to do this, and now that we got to get one-on-one time where I
Oh,
can hear you
totally.
in a bar, and
Right.
we definitely have to have a drink. So next time we come out, we'll get us a
Please.
drink. I'll wait for you until you finish, and then we'll get the drinking because I know when you're working, you're
Oh,
working.
it's whatever. I'm still drinking when I'm like, listen, as soon as I walk in, I'm like, give me a Red Bull vodka. That's the first one. And
Yep.
then if it doesn't do enough, I'm like, give me another Red Bull vodka. Like, I promise you that I've gone to sleep after Red Bull. So, like, if I need the 2 cans, I need the 2 cans.
I know. I know that's right. I do that, and I'll take a shot, and I'm like, just give me a shot of. It'll start with tequila, and then somebody will slip me some
Oof,
whiskey. They'll be like, "You want to take a Jameson?" I'm like, "I guess." And the
you
next
don't
thing you
love
know,
yourself. Mhm.
girl, I
No.
don't, because then I'm over in Rebar making out with somebody whom I don't know, and
I
that's
mean,
the
listen, that's the New York life. Like, if you're not out making out with somebody you don't know on a Friday night, what are you doing?
that is so
That
true.
was my early 20s.
Yeah, Adam,
Same.
we used to be in the street.
Yep.
But listen, all right, this has been so good. Please come back and kiki with us again.
Absolutely.
I
Let me
did
know
that. That was
whenever.
great.
The name lends itself to it. So
It does.
Right.
It does. So please let everyone know where they can follow you on social media. Also, where they can come see you perform in New York City anytime, anywhere.
so I am at Gym Bar in Chelsea every Friday from 8 on. Usually it's either hosting Drag Race and then karaoke or karaoke at 9 o'clock, depending on what the situation is. It's free to come in. Just come downstairs to the locker room. It's me and Gary every Friday. And then every give or take every second Saturday of the month. I get moved around every once in a while, but it's usually every second Saturday. I'm at Stonewall Inn, also at 8 o'clock on the second floor. I do a show. It used to be called Riot. It wasn't my name. It was the name I was given when I took over the show, and now I call it Teehee because I do not take myself seriously. I'm here to have a good time with you guys.
Exactly.
Um, I always have a special guest, and I'm there for 2 hours. Me performing. I usually do 15 to 20 numbers in that 2 hour period. That's what I was used to doing when I used to work at Boots and Saddles. And that's the way I was trained to
Yes.
do a 2 hour show. So I will perform. It may be a lot of walking around collecting money, but I will lip sync to 20 numbers on a Saturday night and take you back because a lot of it is throwbacks. I actually have to figure out my set list for this week tonight.
Well, you never know where I'm gonna be stumbling around this weekend because everybody's in my DMs trying to get me outside. So I'll see.
It's nice. It's nice. You need to be outside.
It is nice, and honestly, when the nice weather starts, my holiness kicks in. So I'm like, I need to get.
Listen, it's been itching to come out for all of us.
Yeah.
So that's where you can find me performance wise. If you want to follow me on social media, it's Ari KiKi, ARIKIKI_hot mess on both Instagram and Twitter. If you follow me, I don't call it X. No one's calling it X. If you follow me on Twitter, I watch a lot of porn and I do post news every once in a while. So be fair warned, it is not for children, but neither is the internet half the time.
Right.
I love that. And it's also Ari KiKi on there as well. Great.
Mm-hmm. And then once in a while, me and my drag sister and our friend DJ do a podcast called The Shade Parade that we used to do weekly, and now we're trying to do monthly, every 2 weeks, whenever we feel like it, we put up an episode.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you want to tune in, look up The Shade Parade. We've been doing that for 4 years off and on, maybe more.
Nice.
I've lost track.
Yeah, that's amazing. About ours as well.
As we do with these podcasts, we lose track when we started them. Like we and it's just such a good. It's such a good outlet, and the work that you do is wonderful. And I want you to know that there are so many queens out there that are coming up that see you and are inspired by you. So thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you.
And we will see you very, very soon. So thank you so much, Ari, for joining us on Pride the Podcast. We'll talk soon.
Ciao.
Bye.